The Palm Beach Civic Association expands its communication outreach with a state-of-the-art television studio. We call it Studio 33480, the zip code for the beautiful island of Palm Beach. Sponsored by Finley Galleries, our goal is to bring you in-depth interviews with the most colorful and knowledgeable personalities on the island. And now, our host.
Welcome to Studio 33480. I'm Sally Lewis. Well, once again, it's time to talk about hurricanes. Hurricane season is coming up June 1st through November 30th, and of course, preparation is key. And here to talk about how to be prepared before, during, and after a storm is Assistant Fire Chief Sean Baker. Thank you so much for joining us again. You're a very calming presence. Have you been told that before?
Thank you. I have. That's my job, to keep everything calm, right? And as we're approaching the hurricane season, we want to let everyone know if you have a plan, if you have things in place, it will help you remain calm when the storm is announced, if it heads this way, because you already know what you're going to do.
Now's the time to get ready.
100%.
What are some of the first things that people should do?
So the very first thing I recommend is to get connected with the local authorities so that if any messages are coming your way, preparation messages, warnings about the storms, those are the things you should do now. Get connected with the Town of Palm Beach Alerts, your favorite local news channel, and make sure all of those feeds are coming your way so that you can get information. Secondly, have your hurricane supplies ready to go. Batteries, charge your devices, charge your phones, make contact with family members to let them know what your plan is going to be. Being on the island here, there's a lot of people that are in other places. They have family members maybe in the Northeast or somewhere else. Make sure people know how to get a hold of you during or after a storm. That's really important.
Are there any specific steps? Because some people work on the island, they come over the bridge, some people have family here. Are there any specific steps that people should take who live on the island versus people who are coming over the bridge?
Sure. There's different levels of preparation. Whether you're a resident, you're a stakeholder here, whether you have a business here, each one is very individual. So, we say for the residents, our message to them is prepare your home. Make sure that all the cutting of your trees and everything are done. Have your hurricane supplies ready. Have someone check out generators in the homes and those type things. For business owners, we make sure that they have the ability to get back on the island after the storm passes through our police department, but also make sure that your business is prepared to have any kind of downtime. If the business is going to be closed, have a continued operation plan so people know exactly how they're going to get paid. All these different things. Who's going to be the emergency responders? For people who have properties during construction, make sure the construction projects have a plan. If a storm is announced, how do we shut down operations and make the area safe as required by the town? So it's really varied, and that's why we say now's the time to start talking with your staff. Talk with your family, talk with the condo associations. Have a plan so that when the town says, now's the time to put your hurricane plans in action, you're ready to go.
We're reading, it's hard to predict. There's some uncertainty. I mean, there's always uncertainty, right? But there's more uncertainty right now about this coming season. So with that in mind, I know that the town of Palm Beach sent first responders on a mission to the West Coast.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about that. Was for Hurricane Ian in September 2022. How will it help prepare them for something like that here?
The lessons were invaluable. We, the fire department, specifically public safety, we are always playing what-if scenarios. If this happens, then we plan to do this. Sending teams over to the West Coast was an eye-opening experience for us. The level of devastation that was experienced by the West Coast, the flooding, the lack of resources, helped us shore up our plans so that we can put those things into effect here. For instance, when we sent the teams over and they were using search and rescue teams from all over the state, we have search tactics that we are employing now and changing so that we can do the same operations here if necessary. Also, the collaboration now with the state. We have plans to talk to the county people and the state members in case there's an emergency. Now, with our members over there, we have direct contacts with some of these people. So we had great communications before. They're even better now because all the pathways have been reestablished, and new members in new roles, we have a relationship with them. Operating in an area where there's literally no infrastructure. How does that operate? There's no GPS, there's no cellular. So even though we're in a technological age, we have to figure out how to go back to pen and paper so we can handle the missions. So invaluable lessons. We were just happy that we had the resources to send to the teams over there, and hopefully we don't need it, but they'll definitely reciprocate in the future if needed.
We actually covered the story Hurricane Heroes on Palm Beach TV, and one of some of the information that I got was that there's training all the time. What kind of training do you do here to prepare for something like that?
So our training, things that we do day to day, dealing with utility emergencies, whether it's underground electric, whether it's overhead electrical lines, natural gas emergency, we do those on a day-to-day basis. But operating with chainsaws and cut teams, trying to get access to areas, but realistically, the training for hurricane response. We have crisis track software that allows our crews to go out in the field and record real-time data of what's going on and record damage in the field. We have other software that we could actually train and try and predict what the damages may be, like including flooding. Those things have come into play, and we're training on those. We're doing those tabletop drills just to make sure that we have that ability to operate.
Excellent, excellent. And tell us about the weather STEM station that you have, some new technology.
So what's great, we have new technology that was offered to us by the state of Florida for free. It is located on the top of Fire Station 1 in the middle of town corridor. It's an actual weather station that's in the town. Previously, we would have to rely on weather given to us from the airport. And anyone that knows in Florida, if it's dealing with 5 and 10 miles away, it's a whole different experience. Now we have a live weather station on the island with live video, live barometry, wind speeds, and everything. It's available on a website and it's available anywhere. So if you've gone out of town for the hurricane season, like a lot of residents do, you can plug right into WeatherStem and see exactly what's the tides doing. You can look at the clouds coming through, watch the storms pass, and it's available right now today.
And thinking about all of that, that brings us to evacuations, because
Yes.
when you see those storms coming, let's talk about the importance of when there is a mandatory evacuation, leaving the island.
So we have to stress, when town officials say it is time to leave, we're asking you to heed those warnings for several reasons. First off, when a storm comes through, if you're on the island, there's a high possibility that we will be delayed getting to you. Based on what we saw in Hurricane Ian, we may not have access to certain areas of the island just because it's impassable. And if you're here, we have to use resources to get to you, right? So you're putting first responders at hazard. But, I use a scenario, if you are in a condo, you chose to stay, you're on the 7th floor. Picture being in that condo for up to 7 days without power or utilities. There's no elevators, there may not be water, there may not be natural gas. Can you remain in that area? So when we say to plan now, where would you go when town officials say to evacuate? Because it may happen. Where are you going to go? That's not a decision you want to make at the last minute. So if we meaning the town, if we issue a mandatory evacuation, heed that warning, please.
And just reiterating that if you don't leave the island and it is a horrible emergency, you may not be able to help.
It will be greatly delayed. During a storm, when the winds get up to 45 miles an hour, we can't take our high-profile vehicles out because they risk flipping over. We cannot get to you until after the storm passes. And only then will we be able to get the backlog of 911 calls to come out to you. Now, the roads may be impassable. The roads may be flooded. So it just takes that much more time to get to you. So if you don't heed the warning, you have to make sure that you are self-sufficient for at least 72 hours at a minimum. But also, most importantly, notify people that are off the island that you made the decision to stay. and find out a way that they can get a hold of you.
Okay, that's really important. And you were telling me that one of the biggest issues on the island is flooding.
Yes.
And you know where the areas are most prone to flooding now.
So we do. FEMA has updated their flood maps. We have hurricane software where we can simulate a certain size storm, and we have a very good indication of the areas in the island that will be flooded first. So those would be our target areas. The island has a natural ridge that runs along the South County corridor and North County corridor, and that's the high point. But really, the wind is one problem for the island, but realistically it's flooding. We're a barrier island. So the lake coming up on the intracoastal side, that's where we're going to see the most flooding coming through. And we're pre-planning for that, but it's just something that people should understand. The wind is only part of the issue. It's the flooding, as we saw in Hurricane Ian.
How about after the storm? Is there a specific process for getting back on the island? Will you issue alerts to people through the townofpalmbeach.com?
Yes. Through our town alert system, the police department will control access on the island and people moving around the island, because realistically, after the storm passes, our public works department for the town needs all the time they can to clear the roadways, to make everything safe. The more people that are on the island, the less effective they are, the trucks that are clearing debris. The police department will create that plan for coming back on the island.
Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want people in the town to know? Sure.
So I have to stress, if the town officials issue a mandatory evacuation order, heed those warnings. Get prepared. We have the luxury, if you will, of having a 5 to 7 day notice, because the scientists have really got those models down. So we have time when a storm is approaching. Make plans what you're going to do during a hurricane watch, a hurricane warning, and realize that if a storm is coming this way and it's over a Category 2, town officials, public safety, we evacuate off the island, and we have to come back to the island to come to you. So if we're evacuating, you should evacuate too.
You should evacuate too. That's a good point.
Yeah, you should too. But this is nothing to be panicked over. We've done this many times. There's tons of information out there. Keep connected to the Town of Palm Beach alerts, and we'll make sure you have all the information that you need.
Assistant Chief Sean Baker, thank you so much for coming in again and helping us prepare before, during, and after a storm. We really appreciate it. Thanks for the information. And you can go to the townofpalmbeach.com and palmbeachcivic.org, where we'll have checklists and plenty of information about hurricane preparedness. Thank you for joining us on Studio 33480. Until next time, thank you for watching.
Studio 33480 is brought to you by the Palm Beach Civic Association, our sponsor, Finley Galleries, and our viewers. We welcome your thoughts on how our programming can best serve our members and residents.